Many bots have built-in timer functions that display in chat, but wouldn't it be better and more useful to have a timer displayed on your stream? Well, I made a visual timer that I'm going to share with you. Don't worry, I'll show you how to get it going, and I'll give you all the code so that you can even customize the visuals of the overlay, or build your own overlay if you know HTML and CSS. You can have complete control if you want it. Oh, there is a little bit of C# code, but I'll show you what it is, but this is just to show you that it isn't doing anything harmful. Streamer.bot will remind you, but you should always be cautious about importing things into Streamer.bot with C# code. Okay, so first I'm going to go through the minimum to get it working. Then I'll show you what you'll need to do if you want to customize it. And then at the end, I'll show you what this C# code is all about. Okay, so here I've got my Streamer.bot. See that I don't have any actions at the moment, so let's go and get it. All right, so this is my Streamer.bot tool repository on GitHub. From the main page, you'll see there's a visual timer. Let's go there. And then here is the file you'll need to import, the visualtimer.sb file. So click that. You can see here are the contents of it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and we'll download the raw file. Okay. So we've got that downloaded. Let's go back here and let's look at the README. Okay. So for the visual timer command, it's going to add an exclamation vtimer command. So if you want to start the timer, you can do exclamation vtimer, and then you can put in a time with hours, minutes, seconds. So if you want to have a timer just for 30 seconds, you can just do exclamation vtimer 30. If you want 5 minutes, exclamation vtimer 5:00. 5 minutes, no seconds. If you want to have a timer for an hour, it'd be exclamation vtimer 1:00:00. 1 hour, no minutes, no seconds. If you want to just cancel the timer, you can just do exclamation vtimer with no arguments after it. Okay. So the first thing we need to do to get this set up is we need to go into OBS and we need to create a new browser source for the visual timer. I have these hosted already on the internet, so we can just use those. By default, there is a basic timer, which is just the numbers and a little message, or we can have more of a progress bar style timer bar. So this is the one that the code is configured to use by default. Here's the URL. Here's the recommended size, 400 by 40. And then we will need to have these options: shut down source when not visible on, and refresh browser when scene becomes active also on. Okay, so let's go over to OBS and let's get this created. All right. Let me grab this URL. Okay. So here's my OBS. I'm going to go to my alert scene and let's go ahead and let's add a new browser source, and we'll call this visual timer. Okay, I copied the URL, so we'll use that. And then the width, I'll pop back here. We want 400 width, 40 height, and then shut down source when not visible on, refresh browser when scene becomes active on. Okay, 440 on. 440, and let's go down to shut down source when not visible. We'll turn on refresh browser when scene becomes active. Okay. All right, and you can see here is the timer counting down from 10 seconds. This is what it will look like. Okay, so Position it wherever you want. Change the size if you want. This is all up to you. Okay. And for now, we will hide this. Okay, so we have the visual timer in OBS. Let's go back to the web page. All right. Okay, so now we need to go to Streamer.bot. We need to import the action, and then we need to open up the visual timer configuration to set it up. We'll need to go to the visual timer start and the visual timer hide to make sure that they point to the browser source that we just created in OBS. Okay, so let's go get the file and import it into Streamer.bot. There's Streamer.bot. Here's my visual timer. Let's import. Okay. All right, so you can see here's the warning that I mentioned earlier, right? The import contains some custom C# code. Make sure you trust the author and the source of this import. Go ahead and import that. All right, so the commands that are being imported will be set to disable. There are 2 commands. We'll look at those later, and we will enable them. Okay, so here we have the imported actions. Again, so we'll need to go to the visual timer configuration, and then we'll need to look at the visual timer start and hide. So configuration, start, hide. All right, so let's start with the configuration. Okay, so here's, see a comment about modifying. So set the visual timer overlay to the location of the HTML file to use for display. So I've got this in here already. We don't need to change it. This is using the timer bar that we saw earlier that we also set up in OBS. We can change this to something else, and you can even change this to something local if you are customizing it. The other thing we want to look at is this visual timer hide delay seconds. So this is how long to wait when the timer completes before hiding it. So when it hits 0, we're going to wait 10 seconds before actually hiding that visual timer. Again, you don't need to change this. If you want to, you can. That's all that we need to do in the visual timer configuration. You'll notice at the bottom, it does also have a reminder about the additional steps about updating the visual timer start, visual timer hide. So let's go to visual timer start. Okay. So when the visual timer starts, it's going to send a message to Twitch saying that visual timer has been set to whatever amount of time. You can leave this, you can change it, it's up to you. What we do need to do is go to this. We need to set the OBS Studio set browser source URL to make sure that it references the scene and the source that we just created. So we will go ahead and let's edit this sub action. Okay. So the scene is alerts. That's where we created it. And then the source is visual timer. The URL, we'll need to leave it as this, the visual timer overlay URL. Okay. And then we will also need to modify this, the OBS Studio source visibility state. Go here, let's edit. The scene is alerts, and then the source is visual timer. And this is what will actually make the visual timer display, right? Set state visible. Okay. Now we need to go to visual timer hide. Again, we're going to have to change this to point to the scene and the source that we created in OBS. So we'll go here, we'll edit this. And the scene was alerts, and the source was visual timer. As you can see, this is where it's actually going to hide the timer. Okay. So we've got those in place. We need to also go back to the commands. So these are the two commands that are part of the visual timer. And we will need to enable and enable. So the visual timer will start it, and then visual timer cancel will allow you to cancel it early. Okay. So we've got that in place. Let's give it a try. Okay, so there's my OBS. Let's pull up a chat window. All right, let's see. vtimer, and let's set it for 30 seconds. All right, so you can see there's a chat message. Visual timer has been set for 30 seconds, and you can see that it's counting down. Okay, the timer's completed. It's going to wait 10 seconds, and then it should hide. There we go, and it's hidden. So we can also test canceling it. So let's set it for 5 minutes. Okay, so now we've got the timer there. But let's say, all right, let's cancel this. So let's do vtimer. There we go. All right, seems to be working. So you can see we can set it, and then we can cancel it, and it will just show up. So now let's say you want to customize this. It's pretty basic, and you've got better HTML and CSS skills than I do. And you want to do your own thing. Fantastic. So let's do this. Let's go back to my repository, and let's do this. Right, at the main page of my Streamer.bot tools, you'll see there's this green code button. So go to the drop down, and let's download zip. This will download everything, all of the files in my Streamer.bot tools repository. Okay. So we've got Streamer.bot main.zip. What I'm going to do is extract that here. Okay. So if you go into this Streamer.bot main directory, and we go into visual timer, you'll see there's an overlays directory. So we can go in there. So here's the basic timer, and here's the timer bar. You'll also see there is this JavaScript file. This is a common JavaScript file that I've included that is used by these overlays. So let's take a quick look at timer bar. So here's the code, bunch of HTML, little CSS. If you want to come in here and modify colors, you want to insert your own HTML, this is the place to do it. Once you have all this customized, you can have this just stored on your local machine, and you don't need to host it on any server. What you'll need to do, though, is you will need to go into Streamer.bot. Go there now. And go back to the actions, configuration, and then you will see the configuration for the visual timer overlay. So if you have your own file, then you will have the path, the local path to your overlay HTML file. But again, if you don't want to, you don't need to. You can use what I've already provided. Okay. So we've got it. It works. You see where the customized files are. And let's take a look at the C# code. All right. So here's the C# code. It's not a lot. Basically, what this does is this allows you to specify a local file path for the overlay, and then this will convert it to a URL. The main piece of magic here is the URL encode. That's why I had to do it in C#. And then it changes a few things because Windows doesn't like some of the standard encoded characters. But again, you see, it's not really doing very much. So it is pretty safe code to import. And then that's it. Feel free to play with it. I hope it's useful. I created an online repository, as you saw, for tools like this and others that I'll be writing and sharing with the community. I will have links below in this video's description. But best of luck with your stream, and please feel free to comment below with other tutorials that you'd like to see or any questions that you might have. Take care, citizens. Like and subscribe.